Hi everyone, Sing here. If you're like me, you'll agree that some of the best things about WoW are its lore and atmosphere. A lot of NPCs in the game, whether they're friendly quest givers, vendors, hostile mobs, or bosses, are either stationary or wander around a very small radius. However, some NPCs roam over a longer fixed path or patrol a large area. Today, we're going to focus on the latter. I'd like to go over my picks for the top 5 roaming NPCs. These picks are based on how interesting the NPCs are, lore, and the average player's typical experience with them. Keep in mind that this is a very subjective list and is just my opinion. Just a quick note before we get started, I won't be considering rare spawns or raid bosses for this list. Rares are just too rare for most players to have meaningful interactions with them, and raid bosses are really their own category of NPC. With that said, let's get started. Number 5 on our list is the Devilsaur. I'm sure most of you are familiar with these mobs, especially if you played on a PvP server during phases 1 and 2 and had to deal with the Devilsaur Mafia. These giant elite dinosaurs in Ungoro Crater are terrifying when one walks into your render distance, and they make for formidable opponents. Not only do these massive beasts look incredible, but they also have a chance to drop their signature item, Devilsaur Leather, at around a 33% chance. In addition to the drop, Devilsaur can be skinned for a guaranteed Devilsaur Leather. The leather is a valuable crafting material used by leatherworkers, primarily to create Devilsaur gauntlets and leggings, both of which are phenomenal pre-bis options for DPS warriors and rogues, especially back during the first couple phases of Classic. High demand for the leather led to groups of players on PvP servers, affectionately called the Devilsaur Mafia, attempting to control the Devilsaur leather market by gatekeeping the mobs, and to an extent the entire zone, from the opposite faction. I know I said I wasn't going to include rare spawns on this list, but since the normal Devilsaur variant has already earned its place, I have to mention King Mosh. King Mosh is a rare elite Devilsaur that can spawn in Ungoro Crater. He's larger, more imposing, and stronger than the normal Devilsaurs. His drops are kinda lackluster though, so he's honestly not really worth the effort to take down. Getting the chance to see him though is its own reward. In 4th place, we have Rexar. Rexar is a character that first appeared in Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. He was the main protagonist of the bonus Orc campaign that covered the founding of the nation of Durotar and the Orcs' struggle with Admiral Proudmoore that ultimately resulted in the Admiral's death. He had it coming. In WoW Classic, Rexar can be found with his bear companion Misha, along his massive path from northern Desolace to northwestern Feralos near the Twin Colossals. He is majorly involved in several steps of the Horde's Onyxia attunement quest chain. Because he is needed at multiple parts of a raid attunement, and being potentially hard to track down, if you're a Horde character leveling or otherwise in Desolace for any reason, it's very likely you'll see at least one person asking for Rexar's location in general chat, which has since become a popular meme. For Alliance, Rexar doesn't really offer anything gameplay-wise. He's hostile to Alliance players, but he doesn't aggro like most hostile NPCs do, so don't worry about trying to avoid him. Mainly for his important role in Warcraft lore and his strong meme ability, Rexar has earned the number 4 spot. Number 3 on our list is Rockgrip. Rockgrip can be found in the Earthsong Falls section of Maradon. He's an enormous crocodile that patrols underwater in the subterranean pools in this section of the dungeon. Rockgrip is so interesting to me because not only is seeing such a huge beast lurking underwater slightly terrifying in its own right, sorry folks with thalassophobia, but he's an entirely optional boss. There's not a single quest associated with him. This means that for new players, it's possible to run Maradon several times without even knowing he's there, since most groups that clear the dungeon don't even bother killing Rockgrip due to his drop table being underwhelming. Not to mention that the intended route to get to him is way out of the way of a standard clear. Most groups that do choose to take him on just jump down into the water below after killing Princess. And our runner-up is Samantha Swifthoof. If you spent any amount of time in Stranglethorn Vale, you've come across Samantha. She's a female Tauren that paths from the very northernmost part of the zone, right before the bridge that crosses into Duskwood, all the way down to the southern end, right before the tunnel leading into Booty Bay. She's PvP flagged for the Horde and hostile to any Alliance players. Similarly to Rexar, she doesn't actually aggro if you get too close, but this doesn't stop Alliance players from being able to attack her, even on PvE servers. The funny thing is, there's nothing to be gained by killing her or speaking to her. She doesn't drop anything and has no meaningful dialogue. In fact, killing her earns you a dishonorable kill. Samantha isn't an objective of any quests for the Horde or the Alliance. It's almost as if the developers put her in the game to bait unknowing Alliance players into attacking her and flagging themselves, so that the Horde players could engage in some PvP action on PvE servers. Because of her complete lack of usefulness and the sheer number of times you'll encounter her while in Stranglethorn, Samantha has earned the number 2 place on this list. Before we get to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Hogger is the first elite mob that most Alliance players will encounter, and can be found patrolling in the southwest area of Elwyn Forest. He's the objective of a single quest that awards some decent starting greens, but the real reason he earns an honorable mention is because of the Hogger raid meme. Hogger is level 11, which is coincidentally the first mob level that will appear as a skull to level 1 characters. This makes Hogger's difficulty look graphically the same to a level 1 character that actual raid bosses look to level 60 characters. Because of this, sometimes groups of many level 1 toons will form to raid Hogger, which is pretty hilarious. Occasionally you can see someone in LFG or Elwyn Forest general chat asking, looking for 39 members Hogger, usually just as a meme. Darius Messenger is an NPC that is critical to the Darius Brotherhood questline. He spawns in the front of the Moonbrook blacksmithing building in Westfall, and from there, paths to the Gold Coast Quarry and then Jangolode Mine, before returning back to Moonbrook. He'll repeat this cycle until he is killed for the item A Mysterious Message, which is needed for a step near the end of the chain. If you've leveled an Alliance character, you've most likely done this quest, and probably had trouble tracking him down due to his long pathing cycle and multiple stops along the way. The Scarlet Oracle Demetria is the objective of the final quest in a Horde-only questline started by Nathanos Blightcaller in the Eastern Plaguelands. She is a powerful elite NPC surrounded by 9 bodyguards, and she must be slain to complete the quest, which you will absolutely need a group to do. Unfortunately, because this is a Horde-only quest, I can't do anything to make her spawn, so here's footage of her from Bloody Fox Gaming. When a player accepts the quest, she and her bodyguards will spawn in Tyr's Hand in the southeast of the zone, and path all the way to Stratholme in the northwest. This group of mobs is very dangerous and will aggro on any players that get in their way. And finally, number 1 on our list is Stitches. Okay, if you play Alliance, you probably saw this coming. Honestly, probably even if you play Horde. Stitches is, at least in my opinion, one of the coolest bits of zone flavor in the game, and I know many people would agree with me. He spawns in the western part of Duskwood and yells a little bit of RP to the whole zone when a player turns in the quest Translation to Elo. Stitches then makes his way to the town of Darkshire, slaughtering a nearby Nightwatch camp and any other Nightwatch patrols he encounters along the way. Because of his relatively high level for the zone, and his status as an elite mob, Stitches is a serious threat for any leveling players in the area, and it's best to avoid him at all costs. He'll eventually reach Darkshire and be slain by the town guards there, but not before ending the lives of some seriously unlucky NPCs in his path. If you can manage to kill him though, there's a chance he'll drop Stitch's Femur, which isn't a useful item, but just adds even more RP to the encounter. Stitches is a seriously cool and terrifying NPC in one of the coolest zones in Classic, and because of that, he deserves the number 1 spot on this list. So those were my picks for the top 5 roaming NPCs in WoW Classic. Think I missed something? Have an NPC you think should be on this list? I'd love to hear what you think, so let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Take care.